Rhulani Baloyi. I'm your host. You are welcome. All of you who are listening to us via Bold Moves Radio, thank you for joining us. Those who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you that every Sunday you are with us to journey with us as we learn together. Those who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, I still invite you to drop your comments, converse with us as we go with the show. Those who are watching or listening to us through Bold Moves Radio, you are welcome to drop your WhatsApps on 081 358 8745. The show is Prudent Woman. And as we have been saying, all of you who follows us, we request of you to follow us on YouTube, subscribe. And as we continue, we're phasing out Facebook, and soon we'll be only on YouTube. So we would like you to join us on YouTube as well. The page is Bold Moves Radio. On all the platforms, we are Bold Moves Radio. You are with us once again. This week, we have part 2 of marital regimes, and we continue talking on customary marriages. And I have with me Mikateko Mabobo, our legal practitioner. She was with us last week and even the previous week in September. She was with us talking on the different marital regimes. Today, we continue on customary marriages. And we'd like to thank you for understanding that last week we only did our show just for 30 minutes. Today, we are back with you. It's from now 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock. And we appreciate you that you could understand that she had other commitments last week. So we continue in customary marriages. Mikateko, welcome. We look forward to learning from you.
Yes, good evening. This is Rhulani or Rhulani. Let's be today. We call each other Rhulani and Mikateko. And I greet our listeners and also our viewers in our different platforms. And today we're still going to continue a bit with the customary marriages. Then people may pose questions so that we'll be able to assist them and to respond to their questions.
Thank you. If I may just recap, last week we had Mikateko, you taught us about customary marriages. One thing that stood out for me, I do not know with our listeners and our viewers, was that customary marriage is true to its name. It's about customs. It's following the customs that one has within their own cultural group. So we learned last week that when we say customary marriages, it's a marriage that has followed the customs of that cultural group. Even if two cultures come together, they have to get married through the two customs and agree. And we went through, you took us through the different requirements of entering into marriage, customary marriages. Of course, the issues of you being a person who is able to enter into a contract, being above the age of 18 was mentioned. But today, Mikateko, I would like us to talk on the celebration. Let us zoom into the celebration. You said one of the requirements is that there must be a celebration. After lobola has been paid, the two families must celebrate. And I would like to find out, and I know some of our listeners last week dropped questions as we continued to say, what type of a celebration should it be? And how big is this celebration should it be for it to be recognized to be a requirement that has been met, which when one goes before a court of law, it can be recognized that indeed they are married.
Okay. Before I can answer in details, remember that in South Africa we've got different cultures and traditions. Therefore, if a person is married, maybe from a Tsonga customs, maybe going to the Zulu customs, both these practices, they should celebrate it in that manner. And further to that, it doesn't mean that one should make a huge party in order to receive the bride in their homes. No, it is not necessarily that. And I believe most of the cultures, the South African cultures, uh, our traditions or our practices are a bit similar. That when a woman gets married and lobola has been paid, and now it is time for the two families to celebrate. They will take along the bride with them from the bride's home, and they will be going to the groom's home. It doesn't mean that they should have this huge a celebration. However, it will be a handing over of a bride, and to show that you are excited that another person is coming to join you, and not necessarily one person, but you will be now relatives, and to show that indeed your negotiations went well, the amount of the lobola has been paid, and the bride and the groom has consented to be married in terms of that customs, whether I'm a Tsonga or a Mazulu. When they hand you to the groom's family, there will be a dancing, there will be ululating. That is what is called by celebration.
This celebration you're talking, it seems the celebration has to happen by the groom's side, because time and again we have the groom's family coming to pay lobola, and there is a celebration. We take it as a celebration. So will that suffice, or there has to be a party by the groom's side so that they can say we have welcomed the bride to our family?
I think last week I also mentioned something, Rhulani, that in courts we treat issues in accordance with their merits. It doesn't mean that if ever they've paid lobola and one of this element it is not done. It happens that immediately after the payment of a lobola, something happens in the family that will not allow them to do a celebration, but the processes will be done like taking the bride to the groom's homestead. It doesn't mean that if there was no celebration, then that is not a marriage. No, it all depends with the facts of the case. In case this kind of a matter will end up in a court of law, it is not a hard rule that has to be adhered to. However, it should be known that the reason we didn't go to Mikateko's family to do the celebration is because there was bereavement or other things happen in the family. That doesn't allow people to be there and to be dancing. That is what it's all about. Doesn't mean that strictly, therefore, one should have a celebration. No, it's not like that. However, it will be treated in accordance with the merit of the case as to what has really transpired.
Oh, this is so enlightening, because I remember there was a time there was a case in the media, and everyone was saying the groom's family was saying, no, we never accepted her. Because I would like to believe it's because they never went, there was no celebration by the groom side. And again, you are assisting us by telling us that it's about the facts of the case. Because most of the time, and this is not only within us Africans, but I believe everyone, we tend to want to hear what has happened next door and want to apply it directly to you. And in most cases, we judge ourselves before we can even get to the court of law. And basically, because if I heard that someone was said to the customary marriage not to be existent because they did not have a celebration, and I do not know the other facts that have come in, I'm likely to feel, okay, it means even myself it's not. But this is enlightening, and we appreciate so much that you are teaching us these things, because even if they are legal, there's legislation that prescribes all these things, but with us, you find that you don't get to fully understand what is expected of you. And having met all the requirements, or some of the requirements, as you say, that you don't have to meet all of them, but it depends on the case and the facts thereof. You spoke last week about the fact that customary marriages can now be registered at Home Affairs. And previously, what we knew was that our parents could not go before a court of law and register a customary marriage. If they were to get married, they had to go the civil route. But now with customary marriages, you can do that. I wish for you to explain to us so that we understand, because some of us may be in customary marriages and wish to register them. How does one go about registering a customary marriage?
In respect of the principles, before I go to that question, remember one of the requirements also, it is consent. Then when if there is a dispute, maybe that a person raised a defense of there was no celebration. Remember, in that lobola affidavit, it will be indicated that both families and both the bride and the groom have consented into entering into a customary marriage. Then that is a marriage. It doesn't mean if one principle lacks, like I've indicated, it means there's no marriage. Thereafter, after they have completed the lobola documents, they have handed in the bride, or the bride, you might find a bride and a groom already, they were living together. And after they have done that, because it is known they are together, they can go and live and stay where they have been living together. Then, in order to comply with what the Act has said, that customary marriages is supposed to be registered with the Department of Home Affairs. Remember, us African people, we hardly documented our customs and our traditions. That is why right now, since we are in a democratic state or a constitutional a government, it allows people who have entered into a customary marriage to go and register their marriage at the Department of Home Affairs. When you go to the Department of Home Affairs, they will inform you that you should come along with your witnesses, and for you to indicate that indeed lobola has taken place and you are there to register your marriage. You can take along your lobola affidavit, and they will issue you with a marriage certificate, which is similar to the civil marriage certificate. However, instead of indicating that this is a civil marriage, it will indicate this is a customary marriage, which has taken place on a specific date and it has been registered in this particular date. Then that is one of the most important things that one can do in order also to secure that document, because in government you'll never hear that I'm not able to access your marriage certificate, because it's done electronically and it is saved by the department. That if ever one day there is a dispute whether is there a marriage or there is no marriage, you can go to the Department of Home Affairs. And the best thing that I love nowadays with the Department of Home Affairs, they don't need a pen anymore that you should sign. They will use a thumb print or whatever, a finger that they will be using, so that if ever there's a dispute, you can go to the Department of Home Affairs, and with that fingerprint, they can even tell you who were the witnesses when they registered that customary marriage.
So much. I wanted to follow up on the issue of the lobola letter. Who should actually be the witnesses on the lobola letter? Is it important that your biological parents or your guardians should be the ones signing, or any member of the family?
A diverse society in South Africa, you will find in Xitsonga culture, mostly parents are not that involved in the negotiations. However, in certain cultures, when lobola is being paid, you will find both parents will be seated together with the groom's family. It will all depends on which tradition are you coming from. That is why it is called customary recognition of customary marriages. Therefore, we must recognize each and every traditional values of the people of the Republic of South Africa. If it will be Zulu, then it has to be done in the Zulu manner. If it is Xitsonga, it should be done in Xitsonga manner.
Okay. Also, and it's very important to follow through that culture as and when you go through the celebration and the Lobola proceedings.
Even
I
the act, even the act, Rhulani, even the act indicates that it has to be celebrated in terms of the traditions and customs of those people. You cannot be marrying a Tonga person and then you go and celebrate a marriage in Indian marriage if both of you are not, or you
Mm,
celebrate it in another custom which is not your custom. Then
mm,
it will be strange that you are Tonga speaking people, but we find another
something else.
custom which is, yes, I do understand you are diverse and you will invite people. They will
Mm,
be coming to celebrate with you wearing their gears, their
mm,
traditional gears, but you as a family, you will be also showing that we are Venda speaking, we are Tsonga speaking. You will be dancing those dance in accordance with your tradition and your custom.
mm. From our show last week, there was this question to say, I'm Shangan, I marry a Pedi, and we follow the customs. And finally, we go and sign and we take the civil route. What will be the legal implications? Are we changing our marital regime or it's fine?
It is called dual marriages. We see it almost every day in our country that today you will be paying lobola on a Friday, and on a Saturday there is a white wedding. We normally dual marriages. If this person has put on a white gown, strictly she must be married in terms of the civil marriage. No, they decided that they also want to do Christian a Christian marriage. That is why we have the bride wearing a white gown, because those people will be taking their marriage to God. And it is not wrong to be doing that. It is their belief. Remember, it is a custom, it's a tradition in their family to be Christians. And as Christians, you'll go and get married in front of your pastor, in front of your reverend, in front of your marriage a counselor. You can do that. It is not a train smash that why are you doing two different customs? But remember, you do a custom and you also have a belief. You are an African and you still want to live your life in accordance with your traditional practices. However, because you are a Christian, you will take your marriage to God and your marriage will be blessed. But you will go and register your marriage, even if you went to church to be blessed, but you believe that I don't want a civil marriage, but I want to be married in customary marriage, then there's no problem with that at all.
With what you are saying to us, I would like to believe almost all of us agree that the best route, it's okay to marry customary marriage regime, but it's an added advantage to go and register by Home Affairs rather than to say I will prove the existence of the marriage as and when that time comes, and you will have to do it for yourself. As she said, that they will archive it for you and you are free. You continue with your own customs. Does not mean when you go to Home Affairs, you change and marry according to civil as we knew it before. It's pre 1998, ne? That we every time you go to Home Affairs, you'll have to take that route. What I have heard as I was, yes.
Dr. Rhulani, another thing which will make it beneficial to the person to register their marriage is when the husband wants to marry a second wife. Then remember, if you have registered your marriage as a first wife with the Department of Home Affairs, and then after some years your husband says he wants to marry a second wife, it will assist you even during the division of the joint estate. Let's say that he goes and marries this wife, and when the wife comes, the second wife, the sister wife realized this is not for me, then they will be able to calculate from the division of the joint estate. Then the second wife now will want to divorce the husband. Then your share as a first wife is calculated since the date of the marriage. Then if the second wife comes and only stays for 2 years, her share will be calculated in terms of that particular 2 years. She cannot come and say, I want the whole share in my divorce, starting from when the first wife gets married. No, that is the most crucial thing as to why should you register your marriage, so that people cannot come and benefit in an estate that you have worked hard for. They come as a sister wife, they know that this family is wealthy, your husband is wealthy and you are wealthy, then they get married to be the second wife. After 2 years, she files a divorce and says, I need half share of all that you are having. Doesn't work like that. Her share will be calculated since the date in which she gets married to the husband, this man who had another first wife.
Thank you for that, because it leads us to what I was going to come to. We have always thought it's not good to marry customarily because your estate is dealt with in terms of our customs. And in terms of our customs, we talk about previously. And we know that as a country, we have a constitution. And whatever that happens must be in line, must not be in conflict with the provisions of the constitution. So I wanted to understand, as Mikateko, I'm not used to calling people Mikateko, they're just their first name. You'll pardon me, Prudent women, sometimes I'll call her Sesi Mikateko. What will happen to the estate in a case where I'm married in a customary marriage? I'm just myself with my husband. And in a case where it's the two of us plus other sister wives. It can be one sister wife or it can be plus two, plus three. What happens in the estates of this type of a marriage? And I heard that in America, they call it prenup. With us, we call it antenuptial contracts. I've heard as well that when you sign in a customary marriage, you also have an opportunity to enter into an antenuptial contract. How does one go about that? And I know this is one issue that most of the women, when they think of marrying in customary marriage, that is their biggest challenge, because we do not know how our estate is to be handled.
Remember the purpose of having to register a marriage. It is in the instance where one will need a divorce, or in an instance where one of the partner or the party is deceased. Let me start with the issue of when one party is want to divorce the other, and they are sister wives. Doesn't mean if sister wife number two, when she wants to divorce, it means they are going to liquidate the whole estate. No. You might find there are 5 wives, but it's wife number 3 is the one who says, I'm no longer interested. Then it will be verified as to when has she get married to the husband. And they will be calculating if ever there is a share or things which he has bought that has made other wives also to benefit, it will be considered. However, it will be shared in respect of your joint estate with your husband from the date in which you married your husband, and considering since the date of the marriage with your husband, what is it that you have added or accumulated in that marriage, which as a sister wife was getting out, as to how much will you be benefiting from that. Therefore, let's say if this person gets married to a wealthy man, and all of a sudden, after 2, like I've already indicated, she wants her share, it will be calculated in respect of that, her time of getting married, the date of getting married, and the date of getting a divorce. However, let's go to a scenario where the husband who has married 5 wives is deceased. Then out of all these 5 wives, they will go to the master of the high court to lay to inform the master that our husband is deceased. We are 5 wives. This is what we were owning when we were married to our husband. Then the office of the master of the high court, depending on the value of the estate. If the value of the estate is less than 125,000, the master of the high court may assist in distributing that amount which is remaining to all the wives. And when they distribute, remember, as I've already indicated to you, when they distribute, it will be distributed equally. Not not like when not like in a divorce, no, but when now it is dissolution of a marriage because of death, then all the wives will be sharing equally. However, there are conflicting decisions. Remember, as customary, like I've indicated, that we used not to document our issues. There are different school of thoughts. There are different precedents being the judgments by the higher courts. It is There's a bit of a conflict as to whether should all the wives inherit equally, whereas maybe the other wife has just came into after a day or so, and this husband dies. Will she be afforded an opportunity to get her share, which is equal to a woman who has been living with this man for the past 20 years? However, if ever that dispute end up in court, it means the judge who is supposed to make a ruling out of that. However, the judge will consider the facts before him as to whether will it be in the best interest of this estate that all the wives should should benefit equally, or all the wives should benefit from the date in which she get married to the husband. There are still conflicting judgments in respect of that. However, it also differ from our cultures. It all depends what our culture and our practices is all about.
This session, it's highlighting to us that the law is very fair. There is justice in the law. And I heard that when it comes to cases around customary laws and all these things, the courts also go out and get experts within that very same custom to be able to advise. So, ladies, gentlemen, I believe we are being educated, we are getting learned and understand that how these things work, so that we do not just assume, but we can be able to approach the courts with a better understanding, knowing that the courts are there to judge the cases according to our customs. And I love what you are saying, it's saying to me, with customary law marriages, you cannot be taken advantage of. When you said, when someone comes in, if they leave the marriage, if it's a polygamous marriage, they get a share equivalent to the time that they've spent within that marriage. Because in most cases, we are afraid of going this route because we have seen people taking advantage of this type of setup and just coming in because the husband is rich and they go out with something which they did not work for. So for me, I would like to believe you have the same feeling. You share the sentiments that the courts are very fair. There is justice when you go before a court of law. But what's important is for you to know what you are getting into. I would like for us to go on an ad break. We'll be right back with you. Thank you. The show is Prudent Woman. The radio is Bold Moves Radio. You are with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. I am your host, and tonight we have with us Mikateko. She's a legal practitioner. She's taking us through the different marital regimes. Tonight we're talking on customary marriages. I would like to remind all of you who are watching us that please follow us on YouTube and subscribe. And please note that as we continue, Bold Moves Radio in terms of social media platforms, we wish to migrate fully to YouTube. So if you can start acquainting yourself. Sesim Katego, we appreciate it so much, the lessons that you are sharing with us, the information that you are sharing with us. It's not everywhere you get information, and information is power. You have taught us just before we went on an ad break what the courts look out for when we approach them to assist us with the different challenges in respect of customary marriages. We have spoken on divorce, and of course, and death, because those are the two things that makes a marriage to end. But Sesim Kateko, I wish for us to zoom into how does one go about getting a divorce? There are different levels. A number of questions came in. The first one is, if they came and paid lobola and I was not handed over, how do I now, if I'm not willing, either a groom or a bride, how do I now terminate? They paid lobola. You said it's not a must to go to the other family. Maybe at that time, there were serious reasons that were given for us not to have the celebration by the groom's family. But lobola was paid, everything was done. And then we find that, we no longer want to continue with this relationship. How does now one go about it?
It means you should file a divorce. But before I go to that issue, it's when one needs a divorce, you cannot do a divorce on your own. It is a very complicated, it is a very emotional thing that you are supposed to be doing. Therefore, the first thing, you must have a lawyer in order to institute a divorce. And it doesn't mean in a divorce you just go to court and say, I no longer loved him, I need a divorce. Doesn't work like that. You should indicate the reasons of why are you saying you are no longer interested and you want to get out of that marriage. Therefore, you must indicate your grounds of why are you saying you want to divorce this person. In your summons, it should be indicated as to what are your reasons for asking for a divorce. And most of the law has already indicated factors that should be considered as grounds that one can approach a court and say, I am now fed up, I want to get out of this marriage. It can be either the most one that we read most of the time is we are no longer living together in the same house. The reason I moved out is because it seems this person is not compatible with me. The things that we used to love recently has changed. It doesn't want to do same anymore. He is refusing to give me conjugal rights. It's one of the things that is why we have marriage, that this person is refusing to give me conjugal rights, or this person is having an extramarital affair, which shows that he does not respect me and he is having an affair that is known. It is not necessary on the divorce summons to write the names of the person to indicate my husband or my wife is having an extramarital affair with this particular person, but you can indicate my partner or my husband or my wife is having an extramarital affair to a person that is known to me. The issue of not writing sometimes is to protect yourself from being sued, that you have defamed me. Then it will be best if you feel you do not want this man anymore and you are aware of this extramarital affair. just write he or she having an extramarital affair, then I seek a divorce. Then immediately that after you have consulted with your lawyer and both of you and your lawyer have found out grounds to be filing for a divorce, then a decision will be made. In which court do you want to issue, or do you want your divorce to be heard? The regional court does a divorce, and the high court also do a divorce. These are the things that you are supposed to weigh together. At the end of the day, what you are looking for, it is a decree of a divorce. There are instances where you find both parties, the husband and the wife, says, I just want out, both of them. That is, sometimes I heard somebody saying the reason I'm not yet divorced to my partner is because both of us has never considered divorce at the same time. But there are people who consider divorce at the same time, and that is why we have divorce. But those who do not consider it at the same time, you will find the other one will say, I want to divorce you. And he said, give me a chance. Or someone says, give me a chance. But once both of you say, we are no longer interested, we want to divorce, it is not necessary for the other one to go and get a lawyer. But this must be done by people who do not have a lot of estate. They didn't accumulate much. You can, on that divorce summon, there is a provision where you can write that you do not want to defend the divorce. You will be abiding by what she has asked for. Remember, in a divorce summon, there must be prayers that you are asking or seeking from the court to grant. One of the prayer is a dissolution of the marriage, you to be granted a decree of divorce. If there are children, what should happen with those children? Are they living with the father? Are they remaining with the father? And remember, in the olden days, since we are speaking of customary marriages, you will find a woman coming back home without even approaching a divorce court. She will be refused to have access to the children. Therefore, customary marriage also protects the kids in the sense that in a decree of in your application for a divorce, you should also indicate what will be in the best interest of these children. The only person who can determine what is in the best interest of the children is the family advocate's office. And the court will be reading a report that is coming from the family advocate's office. In that report, it will be indicated as to who between the mother and the father. And this is a very painful process in the sense your children will be interviewed by the family advocate. And it's difficult for children to choose which parent should I stay with. They were born finding you together. And all of a sudden, you are telling these little creatures that you have made to say, you must choose between the two of us. Then that is a process. Then immediately, if you feel you do not want to defend, you just want a decree and you do not have a lot of estate, it will be indicated in the prayers a decree of divorce, division of the joint, equal division of the joint estate, where the kids will be living. If you've got immovable and movable, how will it be divided? But it is difficult in instances where it is a very huge estate, both of you have accumulated a lot. Then in that process, it means during the divorce, you can make a settlement order. With a settlement order, or no, not a settlement order, a settlement agreement, it's only become an order if a magistrate, a regional magistrate, or a judge has endorsed in that settlement agreement that how you have put in your things, it is in accordance with the law, and to indicate that indeed you have agreed that this is how we want our estate to be divided after our divorce is granted. It must be written in that deed of settlement. And a deed of settlement is a very, very important document because it will indicate, it will be showing all your properties if you are having immovable properties. If you have movable properties like furnitures, you have money in the bank, it must be indicated that Mikateko is having a an investment with Old Mutual, then what will happen to that when you are getting divorced? Mikateko is having different properties in her names, or both of you were having these properties together. Then how do we divide that? That is why we call it a settlement agreement. It's because it is done by lawyers. They will sit together with you and your partner. If he's elected, no, I don't want to defend the divorce, I'm ready to get divorced. The only thing I want, my interest is in the sharing of the division of the joint estate. Then you can sit together with that lawyer, you draft your agreement, you mention, you've been living together, all that you are owning together. Then it will be listed there, and it will be indicated as to how will it be divided. Normally, you'll find people are still fighting a lot. There is a deed of settlement. However, one is still refusing, let's say, to get out of the house. You can now appoint a liquidator. A liquidator will be assisting in liquidating that particular estate, or the estate belonging to the two of you. If a house has to be sold, the liquidator it is the responsible person to see to it that all that estate is being liquidated, and it will be shared equally amongst the husband and the wife.
Thank you so much. The processes that one has to go through, it's only when you now understand that it's not a difficult process, but you need to approach or get assistance from the right people. And thank you, Nyeleti. She's saying that it is cheaper to go to the regional court, as Mikateko was saying, that you can go to the regional court or the high court for the divorce proceedings, because it becomes cheaper. We all know that divorce is expensive, because you have to get, as we're saying, that you have to get assistance from the people who know how to approach the court. In the way you have put in the process, it makes it very clear. But I'm asking myself, that one person whom the family came, paid lobola, the groom went away and never came back. And we have heard of these situations many a times, that sometime you find that the bride or the groom passes on and the other one wants to lay a claim, whilst, for a layman like myself, I will believe that there was no marriage, because these people have never stayed together. You came, we met as families, paid something and went away. In that situation, what should happen? How do I now confirm that that letter you have spoken about last week and even this week, the lobola letter, it's nullified? How do I make sure that someone does not use that to claim against my estate when there was never an existence of marriage? It was a promise and they left.
It means there's no marriage if there was a promise. Remember the factors or the elements of what a customary marriage is. The ones that we have mentioned last week being there must be negotiations, there must be consent, there must be the handing over being the celebration. Therefore, if ever that letter doesn't indicate that this person they paid lobola, it means there will be no marriage. However, if a lobola letter indicates that these people sent a delegate to Mabobo family to go and marry Mikateko, and 2 heads of cattle were paid, which was equivalent to maybe 12,000 rand during that time, then what is the intention of these people? It means these people were getting into a marriage. And yes, it does happen that mostly in the olden days, you'll find a woman who stays in a home and you are told those are her children, but you do not see a father. And she remains and take care of the children, only to find this man has been living with another woman in Gauteng, and they've been living together as husband and wife. He opted not to set his house in order. by filing a divorce and divorce this first person whom he went to pay lobola. Because once you pay lobola, it is your intention. Lobola is your intention to get married. Therefore, if you stay away, you enjoy yourselves, you live with another person, you go to the Department of Home Affairs, you get witnesses there in Soweto, you get married, knowing very well that at home you left a woman whom you have paid a lobola. Then if this person passes on, and here's the wife who remained in the village with 7 children. The father used to send money home to take care of the kids, but he will not be satisfying one of the requirements of marriage being conjugal rights. Doesn't mean if he was living there all these years, he was not giving you your conjugal rights, he was busy maintaining your children. If that woman who is married through a civil marriage in Gauteng goes now and file an application and say, this is my husband, it means that this woman, the one who's remained at home, should approach a court to say, my husband went and married another woman when he was still married to me, and he is married to me in terms of the customary marriages. However, he went and and enter into a different marriage, which is a civil marriage. I remember last week I indicated it is not a choice assorted marriage. It must be a customary marriage for all. Therefore, this woman who have been left out at home, fending for the kids, husband living with somebody else, she can file an application in court to nullify that particular marriage. Only if there are children. It means if this person, the husband has died, the people who will be benefiting out of that estate with the woman whom she was married in Gauteng, it will be only the children. However, her living with this man all these years, she was just wasting her time. And that man, if he loved her so dearly, he would have done the correct things to have her divorced. Remember, the reason why the recognition of the customary marriage, you can see it is an act that came into operation during our democracy when it was still very young. It was around 4 years after our democracy. It is because the politicians realized the plight of more especially women who have suffered being in a marriage. Remember, as a woman during those years, woman was treated as a minor. We didn't have a legal standing, not even to approach a court. We didn't even have a legal standing that you can go to a garage and buy yourself a car or you can build your home. But we were treated as children being women. Then when we came, we get our democracy. Then this recognition of customary marriage came into operation. Remember, I've already even indicated today when we started that you will find circumstances where there is no divorce. However, a woman, they will pack her belongings, take her back home to her parental home, and she will be leaving her children with the in-laws from the husband's side. This recognition of customary marriage was trying to assist people who are so vulnerable, people who will find themselves being disadvantaged just because they are women, people who will find themselves disadvantaged because they do not know the law. Therefore, the recognition of customary marriage was to assist them. That is why you find even the factors to be considered to be very few, but they are very, very important. That there must be a negotiation, there must be a consent, there must be there must be lobola, there must be a consent to marry in customary marriage, and there must be a celebration. Then that is why we have this act. It is just there to protect and to address all the harm that was done during those years. And remember, more especially for women who are living in those women by then who were living in villages. Remember, we don't own land, some of us, because we are coming from villages. We are given only a permission to stay there in that land. You build a house, and here comes your husband, he brings another woman. When you tell them, I need a share of my house, they tell you, which land, who owns this land? The land is owned by the chief. Then the recognition of customary marriage, that is why it's called recognition. A recognition meaning that we are going to look at each and every case depending on its own merit. In own merit, in what sense? If it is stronger people, what do you do when you say you don't want your wife anymore? In the vendor tradition, what is it that is done when one says, I'm no longer interested? I remember I did a matter by then in a Muslim marriage that it was very sad that when they divorce you, your husband will take you to the elders in a mosque where he will go and say 3 words. Out of these 3 words is informing them that you are divorced. And you are divorced, you don't take anything. They pack your things, they take you back to your parental home. Therefore, this act, I do not understand why people, even at this time, they do not go and register their customary marriages. They are just being comfortable at home. And when challenges hit, they are in a crisis mode. They don't know where to start. The people who were part of the negotiations are deceased. No one will come and beg you to say, I know I was there. I'm the one who were part of the delegation in negotiating her marriage. There will be no one. They are all deceased. And this man whom you have lived with for so many years is saying, I never married you. I'm not your partner. Therefore, people should go and register their marriages. Even now, when you feel you still want to be entering into a customary marriage, you just want to get married, have it registered. It is not for anybody's benefit, but it is for your own benefit. And remember, when you get married, there will be offsprings. You are even protecting your own children. Because yes, we do have people who comes to a marriage having a stepchildren coming from a previous relationship. Even some of the children are born even during that relationship. Then it will be best, because when you get married by then and your husband only has one car, he has this and this and that, it will be mentioned there to assist you. And even you as a woman, if you get married and you had certain properties, it will be listed, so that when number two comes along, and number two, here she comes, she's also having the same circumstances like yours, coming with other children who are born out of that wedlock. It's children who are brought in by the mother or brought in by the father. That will assist, because when you enter into a marriage, you will be listing all those things. If you are entering into a customary marriage, that yes, I came with my 2 sons. And there are implications. I'm just running out of time. I can see there are implications of coming along into a marriage with a stepchildren. You have seen, we take it lightly that, oh, he's so good to my kids. You go and do an illegal adoption. An illegal adoption in the sense that you change the surnames of these children. They were using their mother's surname, but now that you are married, you take these kids who are not blood children of this person, you register them at the Department of Home Affairs as children who are born in that marriage. Sometimes it's good to be doing that, but sometimes you put your kids into disadvantage. I'm saying this because I once did a case where this woman, her husband passed on. She came along with this son. And in that marriage, the son was registered as both of them, their son. Then her husband, the father who married this woman, who came along with this child, he passed on. Then when he passed on, this son also shed out of that estate. Then life went on. The father, the biological father, was still alive, and he was so lucky in life that he became wealthy. And now this woman goes to court and say, I want my son to be maintained by the biological father. Then that biological father came to court and say, I will not be maintaining this child because this child was adopted by my previous girlfriend, and this child was registered. Even the surnames has been changed. It means these people have adopted this child. Now this child cannot come and claim from me. This child has already received his maintenance from his deceased adoptive parent. Then when we do these things, we should always remember the consequences of doing things which you didn't seek for legal advice. We must now understand that we are living in circumstances where one needs a lawyer. Even if you're not wealthy, you have legal aid. You don't pay anything in South Africa. You can make an appointment to go and sit down with a legal aid attorney to say, I'm going to get married. I have two children from a previous relationship. What are the good and the bad of me informing my new husband to do this illegal adoption of changing the kid's surname without getting an advice? Because you take these kids, they register them to be the children of in your new marriage, and only to find in the future you were disadvantaging your own kids. However, I do understand also the frustration of having children who are having different surnames in the household. And this is what most of the people said, that I wanted to protect the children that I gave birth after these ones, because they were going to get confused to learn this one is Mabobo, this other one is Baloyi, and I didn't want to frustrate my kids. But do it in a manner in which, at the end of the day, you are not going to be prejudicing these children. Do that things that you were advised by a lawyer to say, okay, we can do it in this manner. Foster care. This man can foster the children whom the father has passed on. Then do it in that manner that these are our kids. We will live with them as they are. We are the foster parents to take care of them. We've got parental rights and responsibilities in respect of these children. Why can't it be done in that manner?
Of course, time, it's not on our side. We can never have enough time to talk about all these things. But as Mikateko is saying, you need a lawyer. Having a legal representative, it's not for those who are wealthy or who have money, but there are legal aid offices. Universities have got law clinics where they can assist you, as long as you can prove that you do not have the resources to be able to pay for legal advice. Thank you so much, Mikateko. And you know what I like about this recognition of customary marriages, it looks out for the vulnerable, the women and also the children. Something that you mentioned, that if I get married if someone marries Baloyi knowing that I am married in customary marriage with Baloyi, and comes in and is a second wife and I did not consent, I know nothing. But then they have got children. Because the children know nothing, they cannot be penalized for the sins of these two people. You said the children have to benefit from the estate of their father. So for me, this law came in and looks out for the vulnerable groups, the two vulnerable parties in the whole process. And it's very important. And what she says about us changing the names, the same names of our children when we get married and you have a child is very important. And we see it happening so many times. Sometimes we get in, we move out, we leave the child with that same name. The poor child does not know how to come out because the child knows who the father is. And the case that she's mentioning, can you just imagine how sad it is? And it's because one did not take a decision based on information that they knew that they're taking the right decision. Says Mikateko, we cannot thank you enough. I see questions are still coming about nullifying of lobola, but I think you have clarified that to say you need to go and divorce, it's a divorce because there was an intention, and which is very important because we have seen that women and also men are being taken advantage of. People nowadays are shrewd. So we need to know these things. We cannot thank you enough. Unfortunately, our time is gone, Prudent Women. I would like to give Mikateko time to bid you bye, even as we close the customary marriages session. Next week, we continue on Mfazwe Paper, the civil marriages. But please continue and drop in your questions. They help us as well to be able to know what are the areas where we need to empower each other. Because as a team, we may not know the things that you will want to hear in this show. So your questions help us to format the show to go out and look for those who can assist us to learn and become better people. Mikateko, thank you so much. What will you like to leave the Prudent ladies with tonight?
Yes, as we are closing the customary marriages, what I want to tell people is that um, in a customary marriage where it is a polygamous marriage, there are people who comes into that marriage consent, not knowing that these people are there for a short period of time. They want to get something. They will divorce and they will ask for a share. You can indicate in your papers that this person should forfeit the benefits, that she came into our marriage not that she was loving our husband, but she came in order to get a share from what these other women have worked hard for. Therefore, the husband, including their wives, can indicate or give circumstances to the court to say the reason why we are saying wife number five is not supposed to benefit out of this joint estate is because she should forfeit all the benefit. In one side, why are you saying she should benefit? She only get married to our husband for 2 years. She never respected us. She will come and go. Those are the kind of reasons that one should indicate when you are now fighting over the division of the joint estate as to am I supposed to be asking that my wife forfeit or my husband forfeit? You must indicate the reasons. And somehow, due to patriarchy in the republic, but I believe it's getting much better, that women will be forfeiting to benefit due to having extramarital relationship. However, a man is allowed to have a known extramarital relationship, and I really doubt whether an order can be made for a man to forfeit a benefit just because this man was not honest to a marriage vow. But once it is a woman and it is found that okay, she has not complied to the vow, she had a marital relationship, it becomes so easy to make a woman to forfeit a benefit. But these are the kind of things that we need to speak about to say what has led this woman to have an extramarital relationship. Is she chachara or what is happening? You find some of the people, the husband left so many years ago, and when he came back, he find the wife having one child whom that child was not there, and now he runs to court and say, "My wife of so many years, I've married her in 1999, and now she has a child out of wedlock. Therefore, I'm divorcing her. I want her to forfeit benefit." Those are the issues that women should take care of. If your man leaves you, go to the divorce court before you can create complications for yourself. We will proceed with this forfeiture of benefits also when we are doing with the civil marriages, the Mfazwe paper, as to what are the factors that a court consider in order to make an order of forfeiture of a benefit. We will do it, and I hope people have understand today's topic, and we are now closing the customary marriages. Next week we will be doing civil marriage. However, the other week I will not be available on the week of the 22nd due to some other issues. But next week we will do civil. I hope I will congest everything together so that we finish off everything next week.
Thank you so much, Mikateko. And thank you so much to our listeners. I trust that you have learned. Those who are not yet married, the young ones, you have got the information to make the right choice when that time comes. And we have learned today that there is nothing wrong with customary marriages. That is our custom, it's our culture. And it's important for us to be proud of our culture and embrace it. And what I like so much is that our courts have come up with ways of protecting those who have entered into this type of marriage. And thank you so much. Yes, of course, I will not end this show without thanking Pastor Strike, the executive producer, and Nyeleti Baloyi, the co-producer. Thank you so much. We will be with you next week. The show is Prudent Woman there on Bold Moves Radio. And please, throughout the week, Bold Moves Radio has got a number of programs. You can join us on our social media platforms, or you can stream via Bold Moves Radio. And please subscribe on our YouTube. Have a blessed week. We shall meet with you next week, same time, 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Thank you so much.